Today we're going to talk about the best earphones for chilling out. Let's go! So for some days, I just don't really want to care what's happening around me. The world can burn for all I care, but I just want to listen to music. So today we're going to talk about some earphones that is just great for doing that. And let's start off with one popular one that just came out earlier this year. So the first earphone that is great for chilling out would be the Truthears Hola. Now this is a chifi from Truthears, and Truthears as a brand has delivered hits such as the Hexa previously and later released an answer to the ultra cheapy game, which is the Holas. They are actually honestly quite nice with a chassis that is 3D printed by Gears. It is black in color, and I like that it's actually matte. At the front of it on the faceplate, it's an Asanoha pattern. Build quality on the Holas are actually pretty great for what you are paying for them, and I really can't complain too much. Even the cable that they provide with you feels of quite good quality. Better than some other brands that I have been talking a bit too much on these days, but it is such. Sounding on the Holas are rather relaxing to listen to. There isn't a very aggressive upper mid-range peak, and as such does not demand too much of your attention. Details are there but not as intrusive, but still can be fished out when you really want to actively listen to them. Also, I like that the sub bass here is a little bit more prominent here than on the mid bass. It tends to aid in the relaxing nature. Texture is also really good for its class. Now these are a pair of earphones that I find to be ultra comfortable, so using them for long hours on end isn't too much of an issue. Like I mentioned, I really like the cables on the Holas. It feels a little bit more premium than the price commands. Overall, the Holas are a very good earphone for casual listening. You can literally just bring them around, and because they are so affordable, I think it's okay that you kind of lose them. If you do, don't feel too bad. I know I've lost some earphones in the past, but if it's the Holas, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. Okay, next for the second earphone that I recommend for days where you just want to chill out will be the Blon X HBB Z300. Okay, so I haven't done an official review on the Blon X Hawaiian Bad Boy Z300s, which I'll get to quite soon. So please like and subscribe if you want to be the first to see this review. So for the Blon X Hawaiian Bad Boy Z300, this is the successor to the legendary Blon BL03. I really like the build on the Z300s. They are made of a sandblasted aluminum that has an anodized finish over it. At the front of the faceplate is a herpy-derpy dragon. So with regards to the name Blon, a viewer called Kopio Kaya told me that this was a reference to Blon's Chinese name called Bao Long, which means precious dragon, and thus have the herpy-derpy dragon motif at the front. Inside the Z300 is a 10mm silicone dynamic driver that is powering it. The cable provided here is pretty nice, especially for the price. In terms of sound, the Z300 is very mid-bass heavy, great for you to feel the pulse of the music. Vocals are a little bit more recessed in the sonic scape, and as such they make a good pair to listen to in the background. Treble here is also pretty polite and not especially harsh. If you're particularly sensitive to treble, I think these will make a very good pair. For me, this is what I listen to on a lazy Sunday morning, escaping real-life responsibilities. Next would be the GizAudio X Shower Galileo. Every time I mention Timmy's channel, I make it a point to call it GizAudio as a running joke. So the Galileo appears on this list as well. I really like how the Galileo looks. Yes, it is a boring custom universal earphone, but it really has a really pretty swirly-whirly faceplate that you will never know what you're gonna get until you open your box. In terms of driver configuration, the Galileo is quite different from the two before. It features a dynamic driver and a single balance armature for voicing. As such, you get the hybrid sort of tone where the bass is predominantly handled by the dynamic driver, while the mid-range and highs is done by the balance armature. So tonally you get more of a meaty bass, while vocals has that fine balance armature timbre. I also really like the braided cable on these. It is also really helpful that it terminates to a 4.4mm. Perfect for my Lotu Paul S2. These are a friendly vocal forward signature. I like how smooth the vocals are on the Galileo. Vocals on them are sweeter with a slightly warm character, and because of how smooth the vocals are, I generally listen to these on a lower volume, especially when I want to listen to vocals while concentrating on another task. The smoothness makes them quite easy to listen to. And next will be the Final Audio A3000. So the Final A3000, these looks rather similar to their flagship, the A8000, but that has a pretty stainless steel chassis. The A3000 here, because of its lower price, it kind of features a plastic body that is actually ultra light and comfortable. Inside it is a driver that is specially developed for it, the F-Core driver unit. So this is also a single dynamic driver. Now the A3000 features a removable 2-pin cable for those of you who like to cable roll. As with all single DD IEMs, I find them to be very coherent. In terms of sound, the A3000 is a balanced and natural sounding IEM. What I enjoy on these are the buttery mid-range and treble frequencies. The A3000 remains quite neutral and isn't really coloured. These are pretty clear sounding, which is what I particularly enjoy on the A3000. Bass here is tight and fast rather than a multiverse expanding, ultra big bass. It is just tight and fast. Next IEM that I would listen to when chilling out would be the 7Hz Legato. Now the Legato is the latest from 7Hz. This IEM fits my ears quite well with no particular stress point in my ears. I like its anodized chassis that houses dual dynamic drivers inside it, a 6mm and another 12mm. The cable here is nicely braided and feels pretty supple in my hands. However, the neck choker is a little tight for me to adjust, so I don't use it that much. In terms of sound signature, these are bass cannons. I know bass cannons tend to have a below average level of technicalities, but I assure you that the Legato here does technicalities just fine, except that it gives you quite an enthusiastic amount of bass. Bass here is ultimately very rumbly and chunky. Sub-bass extends quite low with good presence. These sound really realistic in a big way. Mid-bass here has good kick, and this blends quite well together with the sub-bass. Mid-range has uncharacteristically good clarity for a bass-dominant earphone. It has a sweet character that plays off well with the good dynamic that the bass lays. It also leans a hair warm. Treble extension here is well defined. I won't say that the Legato oozes air, as much of the sense of space here is pretty much filled up by bass. All in all, a very nice earphone to put your legs up and relax. I really enjoy the pulse and the beat in the music when using the Legatos. And finally, the last earphone that I like to listen when chilling out would be the Sony XBA-N3s. So the thing about the Sony XBA-N3s is that it is an IEM that does not get enough love and is probably one of the best mid-range IEMs that Sony has ever produced. It uses a single dynamic driver to handle the bass and mid-range, while the BA does treble. So in terms of tone, you get an ultra consistent bass and mid-range from the DD. Their implementation here differs completely from how the Galileo was implemented. Bass here has good impact and dynamics. It is quite beefy in nature and honestly has quite fantastic dynamics. It is also pretty tight sounding, seriously quite good fun. Vocals on the N3 too, it's dynamic and lively. I find vocals to be sweet on the N3 and tone remains very consistent with the bass. Warmth in the vocals just shines through while remaining delicate. Treble here is handled by the balance armature, and because the BA only handles the upper frequencies, it adds a tinge of air to the mix. Overall, the tone remains largely a dynamic driver bass tone. I think that the N3 balances out warmth with delicateness extremely well. If you can find one of these, please do not hesitate to get one. These are really one of those hidden gems. If you know, you know. And if you have the opportunity to try one, please do. And finally, in conclusion, these are some earphones that I just generally like to listen to while chilling out. They might not be the ones that I want to use when I want to listen to absolute fine detail, but they are just overall very pleasant sounding. So if you're wondering what to get, I think any of these would be great. And with that said, thank you guys for watching the Superchunk Super Audio Show. I hope you like this list of IEMs to use while chilling out, because these are amongst the few that I use in my rotation recently for such purposes. Thank you guys so much. If you like content so please kindly press the like and subscribe button somewhere down below. It will help me out immensely, and I think my dog will thank you for that. So here's just a short clip of my dog doing doggy stuff. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys soon.